of the State Senate of Tennessee. And we're fortunate to have with us the first black female senator for the state of Tennessee, Senator THarper, representing the 19th Senatorial District here in Tennessee. And Senator Harper, let me welcome you to the show and tell you how delighted we are that you could come by and to be with us at this particular time.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure to be with you, Dr. Haney, and to share ideas with you from a different perspective.
Thank you very much. Senator Harper, I would imagine that our audience is more concerned about how you became a senator more than some of the issues that we're going to talk about. As a matter of fact, I think you are more of an issue, really, than the issues that we are talking about. Why don't you give us some information about your involvement in politics and sort of trace it on out for us so that it might encourage some of those who might be interested in doing and duplicating your success, if that's possible.
Thank you, Dr. Haney. I think first off, let me say that I didn't get where I am alone. I've had some very good help. But early on in life, I determined that there was a need to get involved. There's a need for community involvement. And there were so many things that happened around us and in our community that we were just totally unaware of. I started out by working in others' campaign. I've worked in presidential elections, senatorial national elections, and local elections. I was first elected to office, the first office I ran for was 1976 for the Constitutional Convention. Did relatively well. Then I ran for committee woman, Democratic Executive Committee woman, and was successful on 2 occasions. From there, I determined that there was a different need. There was a knowing that told me I needed to be more involved in decision-making process. With that, I ran for a councilwoman back in 1983, and I was successful. That provided me an opportunity to get our community involved in the decision-making process. That has been that your school children, your grandparents, those who are high school age, they are all involved in what happens when there's an issue in the council that directly affected our community. We were there, and I think part of the decision making is that we not make decisions in and of ourselves as elected officials. We must ask our constituency what their desires are. They cannot give us adequate information unless we provide them what the issues really are. I've had very good involvement from my constituency. From there, I ran the second time, and that provided opportunities to deal with issues such as landfills, barking dogs, just many other things that have affected this community. Will the price of water go up? You know, will the price of electricity that as a council member you have no direct decision making on, but those are the kind of issues that our community has been concerned about. Will there be additional school buses? Will our streets be paved? Will there be city lights? What are we going to do about education? All those are decisions that we've asked the community to give us input on, and many of them have. We've had some tough decisions to make, and I think you know that the landfill issue is one that has brought all of us into the forefront, the entire community of Nashville. With that involvement, I think you know that Senator Williams has served us eloquently for the last 22 years. When Senator Williams determined that he was not going to seek office again, it was not my first thought about running for state senator. I had thought about it several years and had watched him, and I think he did a very capable job. I decided I thought I could be a policymaker on a state level. With that, I shared it with friends and constituents. They encouraged me, promised that they would help, and they did. It meant campaigning. It meant a outlandish expenditure of money, because we're talking about representing in excess of 160,000 people. So we ran for office successfully, and now we're there. And I want you to know that we've carried the community with us. We have a program where we've invited our constituents to come up and man the office for us, to answer the telephone, talk to other constituents about what their concerns are, and to know what it's like to be on Capitol Hill. That has been successful. We've got retired teachers, just retired workers, parents who don't work, young people, school-age children who come to the office. They answer the telephone, they sit at the desk. Many of them go in and serve as a page for a day, and we intend to continue this. We are planning programs to go into different areas of the community to learn what they would like to see. The other issue I think that is rather crucial right now, that is that the governor has offered some proposals and our telephone has just been ringing off. We must first of all avail ourselves of the information, try to digest it, and then come to some decision-making process. I'd like the community, and I've invited the community to share with me what their thoughts are after we get an understanding of it. I think initially the community said no, and that may be the answer. I don't have the answer. I'm asking them to help me make a decision on what we should do. We talked early on about, you know, being the first there. I think that one day we'll get to the point where there won't be a first. You know, someone will have always been there. But it provided me a golden opportunity to say to the constituency of the 19th district that I'm your servant and I need your help. And they have responded. And
so you've got excellent response from your constituents.
Yes.
So far.
Yes.
In reference to the way things are going. Now, in looking at the legislative agenda, what are you planning on, I mean, not you personally, but we get a lot of information in the newspapers about what's going on in the state Senate, the discussion of ethic bills and reform here and there, and et cetera. If you had to summarize things for members of your constituency this morning, what would you say about what is actually happening in the state Senate, and how would you compare that level of activity? Certainly it's a larger pond with the Metro Council and et cetera. Is there much difference between serving one or the other?
Well, there is a difference in that your constituency is expanded. But your decision-making process is pretty much the same. Number one, we must ask those people who sent us to office, and even those who maybe necessarily did not vote or were not involved in as a part of your campaign, we must first digest the information that we have and then ask them to give you input. The agenda this time, as I understand it, has been like never before. The governor gave us a major package of information, and there are no good taxes as far as our constituents are concerned. You know, our constituency understand that you must pay your fair share, but there's not a good tax and a bad tax. But his proposal is far-reaching. We're talking about taking the tax off food, and I think that's palatable to most people. But then we're talking about an exemption and an increase for those who are in the upper income bracket. And many times there are those who don't necessarily understand that. We're talking about education, how we're going to educate our children. One of the comments we hear so frequently is putting more money into education doesn't give you a better education. And I think that isn't the issue just yet. It isn't saying that we are funneling money in and it's a failure. I think what we're saying is reducing the class size provides an opportunity for teachers to teach on an individual basis. I just recently visited McKissick School. One teacher shared with us that she has 32 fifth graders in her class. I think we know that it's almost impossible to get a quality education with one teacher and 33 students, particularly if they are children who are at risk. The majority of her children are at-risk students, which means they require more time and energy. If we can reduce the class load, take some of the paperwork away from our teachers, provide them the opportunity to share with students what they have gone to professional school for, I think you'll see there will be better education. And it isn't all about, one of the things that we hear frequently is, well, we're paying